A simple start, I think. All right, we're straight. We're cooking. Looks pretty good. All right, bam, 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 bam. Here we are once again. Let me breathe before I get too jittery. Try to keep it calm. Uh, Today, not gonna lie, I let my emotions get the best of me. Mainly because I was trying to talk to a relative over something that was pretty dumb. And yeah, it caused not even an issue, but an argument that was unneeded. So I'm starting to see that I gotta take in consideration that they don't see or think how I think. So with that in mind, we're gonna bump heads. But that's for later on. We're not really worried about that. Right now, great news. We got more space to make videos. So the videos gonna be super longer. Okay, not that long, but they're gonna be longer. And yeah, I'll have more time to edit and put forth what I'm trying to say. But there were so many topics flowing through my mind because the emotions was rushing. I feel like emotions don't really cloud your judgment. It mostly floods it with so many thoughts. So that's not the main thing. I'm trying to get back to what I really wanted to say. And what was that? Okay. I had physical therapy today. Pretty good. My shoulders not that bad. Still can't fully throw. Yeah, but we're not really worried about that. It's neither. It's far in the future. But what one thing I really wanted to talk about was feel like stuff's going too slow, you know? But you get that all the time. Everybody thinks you're just gonna have this mass following the minute you start. That's very unrealistic. But it's getting to the point where I'm starting to think like, dang, I might need to speed it up. Like I might need to start just putting out trash content just to upload. But I'm like, that's like being a sellout. I can't do that, and I don't want to do that. So we're gonna figure out what the main thing we can do, because I touch up on so many topics to the point where I feel like I have no strong goal. Which I do is just it's just self-realization, I guess. Uh, what's one thing? Okay, one thing is that I really wanted to speak to you about is the concept of opinions and the reflection of those opinions, right? So I feel like if you have a certain lifestyle and you live it to the fullest, right? And then another individual has a different lifestyle. Like say you have a lifestyle that you just, you're chilling, you skateboard, you smoke, stuff like that. It's calm, it's cool, you're not doing anything out of the way. But I guess a high collared person that's I guess in business, that's doing something more with their life, they think in their way is they look at you and they try to discourage you from doing that and trying to change your ways, and there's nothing wrong with that, to influence others to a way where you want them to have something better. But it gets to the point where not only are you discouraging them to live the way they want to live, but it makes them feel like, oh, this is just, oh, it's the way I'm living is nothing to you. Like you can have your opinions, but it gets to the point where not only are you causing judgment and I guess otherworldly demeaning thoughts about that type of lifestyle, it ruins the way. Because I feel like the topic that I wanted to create was genres of life and like styles of life. People call it styles of the way you live, but I want to call it genres of life. How there's genres of movies and music and type of movies and art, but I feel like lifestyles are genres too. Because you can be emo, very spiritual, very inquisitive with sports and stuff like that, right? But it gets to a point where even if you understand those monumental levels of each lifestyle, you will never fully understand it. And that's why I think that's what gets me, because I have been friends around so many people that do different things, but have you ever been indulged into that type of lifestyle, that type of content? Have you ever fully embraced that? Have you ever fully embraced being a sports person, or someone that just loves music to the point where it's just their whole life, or not even being emo but being gothic? Have you embraced that to the point where you understand where they're coming from? Because you can say, well, I understand where you're coming from, but yada yada yada, you try to voice your opinion by saying, you try to soften the landing by saying you understand their opinion. You truly don't. And I think that's the disconnect from everybody, not understanding truly. It's not communication, it's comprehension. Because you can say you comprehend and still not. That's why I feel like I don't have a one up on anybody, but I feel like that's what's guided me different than anybody else. People might touch on it lightly, be like, oh yeah, I understand what he's talking about, but this is how I feel, yada 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 yada. Don't discard their emotions. And then you could be like, oh, nobody's discarding their emotions. This is just how I feel. This is how is my opinion. Yeah, you're right. Everybody is liable to their own opinion, even if that opinion is wrong. That's how I see it. But now that I have so much time on my hands to create something, it makes me feel like the other videos I made, they're great videos, but I hate when I make a good video and it gets cut off because I had, less space. And that 50-minute video, I feel like the words I was really speaking was so important, but I just, once I put something out, I forget it. It's gone on my mind after I put it out. Because I keep on creating new concepts, or I'm talking about something totally different. But that's not really the main point. And what's another thing? I don't know. You gotta really involve yourself in one topic and really understand it to its fullest point. Because how can I put this? Mm, okay, I talk about perspective a lot, right? And the reason I say that, because okay, I can put it on a platter. You got this one individual who does great things for the world, a couple slip ups here and there, right? You put them up all the way to the top. Then you have these individuals on the bottom that view them great or completely bottomless. Like, I don't know, we'll make a character. Matter of fact, nah, how about this? MJ, Michael Jackson, right? Greatest, greatest artist, greatest whatever, makes great music. But there's still people who see him in a different light. There's people who see him not as his music or what he created, but what he did or accused of doing during the time of his fame. Because no matter how famous or how so-called perfect you are, there'll always be an issue with you doing. No matter what it is, you can try to put on a facade or a type of persona or a caricature or like anything to make you seem like you're just not just a great person, but a person that does no harm. But somebody will find something about you to say, no matter how good you try. Because if you try too hard, then you'll be like, oh, he's overcorrecting for something. So it gets to the point where, can you even try without getting something said about you? And no matter how far, if you don't defend it or defend it at all, it still tarnishes your name. People are hateful, and people will disguise that hate as criticism. That's what they do. They disguise their hate as criticism. You know, they be loud and not even obnoxious, but they'll try to disguise their hate as criticism or just them joking. They'll laugh through it. Oh, that's pretty messed up. Haha, that's pretty messed up. They'll be loud, not considering how that could affect somebody. But I'm no stranger to it, because I used to do that. But it's not only just jealousy or you being envy, because some people just do it just out of the, not even a hateness out their heart, but just doing it just to do it. That's why I say there's a gray area in life. Okay, so let me tell you something. Right? I started the video not knowing what I was going to talk about. It comes to me so called. I was so mad today that I was just sitting down on this chair just thinking, what am I supposed to say? Because, like, I can't just say, oh, be positive, spread peace and harmony, yada, yada, because your mind is not like that 24/7. So don't even try to discourage yourself to think, oh, I gotta stay positive. Sometimes you can be melancholy. No, sometimes you can be sad. You know, sometimes it's good to release, you know? But it gets to a point where are you turning yourself into a victim by doing that 24/7? That's what it gets to, you know? But then you have some individuals that try to have a landscape. They try to speak on every topic, try to stay neutral so they can get a positive outlook on each side no matter what the coin is flipped on. And then it gets to the point where, why are you doing that? What are you looking out for? Me, on the other hand, I can't tell you what I want right now. I'll tell you one thing, I might do another. That's why I say I'm a contradiction of oneself. But it gets to a point where, what am I gonna do when I'm older? Because yeah, I can make excuses now because I'm young. I can make the excuses like, oh, I don't got a job. I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting, sleeping all day, eating food, chilling, not even working out. I'm not doing anything. I'm just a bum. But then they can be like, oh, you're young. You're young. You're in high school. You'll figure it out. And then sometimes they don't figure it out. So what? What now? What now? Because they haven't figured it out. It's good to put a light under somebody's butt to push them to succeed. But it gets to the point where, do you even know what you want to do? But the reason why I'm so excited right now, not only because I got mad today and, you know, I got an altercation with one of my relatives, but it gets to the point where I have enough time now to spit, not even spit, but to spill not what I feel, but what I know is not only factual, but emotionally strong, like emotionally trying. Because I feel like some people try to fake spirituality or have like a complex, like I gotta save everybody. It's a complex like that, you know? Or they'll try to be too deep to the point where they're just saying belligerent nonsense and try to be philosophical, and it doesn't work. That's why here, you know, I have no. You have to have ego to have personality. That's one thing. When people say, "Oh, I had ego death," they're lying. You have to have ego. But most of our knowledge are from other people or videos they've seen. You know, they collect it. People don't read, they don't do research. They so-called research, but they look up a couple websites and you read it and then spout out nonsense. Or you have somebody that just straight spits straight statistics, facts, and anything with numbers. But at the same time, if you do that and you see everything at numbers, you can make a broad statement just by seeing a significant or insignificant amount of facts. So that's why I say life is a gray area. Right now, the video that's being made right now, I don't think it's good. What I'm saying right now, I believe in it wholeheartedly. But right now, I think this video is not that good. You know why? Cause I'm not calm how I am. I'm still a little bit hurt. I'm not calm. I'm not speaking to you on the same amount of level I used to. That's why I say every day when I speak to this camera, it's a different person. It's not the same person. It's never going to be the same person. So, as I say that, another thing is, what's another thing? Another thing is, think about it, all right? I'm speaking to you, right? I could be speaking to you about straight nonsense, or you connect to it on some level. But sometimes people will brandish the things you speak about, put it in a category, and then move you aside if it's not important. All right? But I think our minds just subconsciously do that. That's why people have so many apps like TikTok, stuff that makes your dopamine potent enough to the point you feel like a good vibe. I think that's why human minds are just simply addicting no matter what you do. But then I look at so many people and you start to intake whatever they do and you start to so-called evolve by intaking whatever they're doing. But sometimes it doesn't work. It doesn't help. So I'm gonna try to calm down and really figure it out. Okay, what's a concept I wanted to talk about? All right, I wanted to talk about the world of athletics. All right, it's a business. Everything's transactional. You can do this kid games to get paid millions, but the way I see it, I'm not only saying that because I think I have ruined my body to the point where I can't make it to the next level. I seen it when I was younger. I felt like we're all entertainment, you know? This is entertainment, but also it could be knowledgeable. But in the world of just any sport, but I'm gonna say football, American football, because that's what I was touching on when I was younger. American football is a great thing, right? But you got to think they want you experience young and potent as you know as quickly as possible because that's how they can make the most revenue off you. But as I say that, you got to think once you're no good, you're tossed aside because they don't see you as a human. You know, they might see you as a human. You might get more benefits if the better you are, the better chance you get treated as a human. You know, so they might get these little connections with the coaches and all, but at the same time, you got to think we're from the outside looking in. No matter what's going on during those days, nobody knows how much pain you're going through, the training, and all that. Collectively, football is like it's a gladiator sport, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know. We're not gonna, discourage the CTE and all the concussions and stuff like that, the mental damage. I could talk. Oh, what was that? I can talk about that all day, but that doesn't matter. Well, it does to a point, but that's not what I'm talking about. It gets to a point where not only are you a pawn, but we're all just entertainment at the end of the day. Everything's entertainment. It, it makes you think that what is the full reason to do it? I feel, you know, it's ambulance, no sirens. Somebody passed. There's no sirens and just fire. Well, I'm distracted, but yeah. So we're entertainment. Everything's entertainment, okay? To a certain extent. And if it's not entertainment, the things you do will get turned into entertainment. Like look at cops. It's not for entertainment, but at the same time, they have cams and they have TV shows of real life situations during when a cop is doing his duties or firefighters. There's fake reality shows. Everything gets turned into entertainment in some level of degree. Even the most serious things can get characterized into a joke. You know, that's why people tell you soften up. It's not that deep. But at the end of the day, you got to think if everything is entertainment, what is getting taken seriously? Because people say don't be insensitive or don't be too sensitive, but me speaking right now, half of the words I'm saying right now will get passed aside as just mumbo jumbo. Mm, it's hard to tell somebody to take your opinions and the facts you think seriously when people just they skim through it and then they go to the next for the next dopamine high, and nothing wrong with that, you know, because you might see me on the camera and you might think you know me or know somewhat of me, but I'm not deep 24/7. I'm not I'm not spiritual. I'm not thinking about psychology and being thinking about just any deep quotes and stuff like that every day. Yes, I have days where I'm just joking and chilling, but I can be deep 24/7. I want to be, but sometimes it don't get tiring. But people think, oh, this man, he's corny. Like, there's no way he doesn't chill. He's corny. But I can't wait till it gets to the point where my opinion is taken to the most potent level, where not every move is calculated or recorded, but what I say is taken with some validity, you know? And, bro, that's one thing. The one video I really want to talk about is the video that got cut. Like, I feel like I don't remember all the topics I was speaking on. That's why I love this so much. That 50-minute video I swear, to me, that holds so much power. Why is there so many ambulances out? I don't know, but nevertheless, we're still focused. That holds so much power to me, and I hate, like, I truly hate that it didn't get recorded. You know, we got about, you know, we got a good 2 terabytes of space right now. All right, and I was using up like 100 gigabytes. Any tech savvy people out there, you know that's a lot for a phone. 2 terabytes, I guess, and a beat up phone after that. But it gets to the point where I'm thinking everything I say might get taken in consideration once I have a wow factor. Cause I simply just can't be just doing YouTube 24/7. Cause like that's not gonna get you nowhere. You know, it might if you stay consistent and so-called discipline, but everybody says that. So, uh, I feel like once I start publishing music, maybe it'll be different. But I might be in the same situation with music. Music game is oversaturated. You have so many wannabes. You have so many copies of imitation that your music will get skimmed over. And I feel like the great thing to really catch somebody's eye when it comes to music is not even the lyrics, but I guess the beat. You know, the beat will capture somebody hearing before their eyes. You know, and I feel like that's why so many artists and so-called rappers are famous today because the beat, you know, the producer, the nobody really looks at the producer. They look at the front for, you know. Nobody knows the intricate details or anything. They only see what's in the front. So, bam, with football, you know who they blame? If your team is doing horrible on offense, they blame the quarterback because that's the main guy. Okay, and listen, bam. So for a band, if the main singer is ass, the whole, excuse my language, but the whole band is butt. Okay, what's another one? Okay, I'm trying to think. Cause like it's mostly team things though, you know. It's mostly sports and things that have to do with teams and multiple people. All right, bam. I hate getting into politics. I don't want to touch politics at all. But okay, bam. If your country or your land is not a dictatorship, right? But it's multiple people and the masses get the vote on who they want to speak for them, and that person is doing a bad job. They don't blame the voters, they blame the one person that's head front. Uh, Everything it's about the face. It's about the view, the opinion, the massive work of it all. So so much, and I feel like people who have gone insane or have really crossed that edge, you can't blame them, or you gotta understand because like later on you're going to figure out that not everything's gonna be the same. So don't be nosy, but be attentive. Like understand your surroundings. Figure out what is going on truly. Okay. So yeah. Remember, not everything goes as planned. So learn to adapt and evolve. It's a simple concept, but hard to actually distinguish and work on. Oh, there's an ambulance outside. Yeah, it looks like somebody lost their life. That is, that's kind of. I don't know the full magnitude of the situation, but it's no sirens and the whole family's out there. try not to let that affect what we have going on. So it's, I don't know, but yeah, don't really like this video mainly because of the tempo and how everything is going right now. But understand that life can be long or short. You choose what you want to do with that amount of time. And I'll try to catch you later.